Welcome to the Mr. Shades Show. We're continuing talking about Star Wars.
Guess we're starting with Finger Mayor.
Yeah.
Professionals.
We're starting with the latest Disney movie, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a.k.a. Episode 9, a.k.a. Tross.
We're going to need more liquor for this one.
Okay. So, Zach, what did you think of Tross?
Well, I could put it in a very, and I will, rest assured, I could put it in a very long-winded, eloquent explanation, or I could tell you it was, you ever get a sandwich, I'm really reaching for this here, but you ever get a sandwich from Subway, and you walk up, you're like, all right, cold cut combo, I want everything except lettuce and hot peppers, and you forget that they have, I don't know, spinach that day. And spinach is normally good, but for some reason that day they just scooped out the bottom, which was kind of soggy and wet, and you slap it on there, and it ruins the whole sandwich. And the pickles are really good because they nail the salt and pepper placement, and they throw a little bit of garlic aioli and mayonnaise on there as well. But the fucking spinach just slimes it so hard, and I like spinach, and it makes me sad. That is my feeling. That is my pretty much exact way of feeling it. There are parts of it that I love, and it's Star Wars that I'm still going to always be pumped up because I'm a slave to it. But they put on some nasty-ass spinach.
Yeah.
I should probably adjust my line. Yeah, they put on some nasty-ass spinach on that one.
Yeah.
And it's slimy, and it's bad, and you should have threw it out 2 weeks ago.
We were in the theater. This was the midnight showing. There was, I think, 5 other people in the theater with us.
Didn't exactly bode well for a fucking Star Wars film.
It was like opening weekend, too.
Yeah, no, it was concerning.
Yeah.
Disconcerting. I'm like, is there a sex thing in here?
Yeah, we were sitting there. We were in a fair place, I think. And then, everybody else was just behind us. So we were like, okay, they're not paying a fucking attention to the movie. Movie starts. Opening crawl. Palpatine is alive. Or, no, it's the dead are speaking. And I turned to you, I'm like, Jesus Christ, right off the bat,
Man, I don't know what it is with this new trilogy, because it's not just endemic to this movie, but there has been zero subtlety in the opening crawls. It's just, fuck you, this is happening. Maybe lead us into it, maybe do a scene. No, you're just gonna fucking slap me in the face with this Peterbilt.
Yeah, I'm going to start with theater experience.
Yeah, by all means.
Because that's usually something that I usually have been more aware of recently.
Yeah. Well, we have also not the greatest theater in the world. It's good for what we got, but it's no, Cineplex Odeon.
Yeah. But again, there was only, 5 or 6 of us in the entire theater, and they were all spaced out. We were all fairly spaced out, and this was before the pandemic.
Yeah, this was
December last year.
This was the last. Yeah, how long? This was the last movie I saw before Rona really started lighting the fucking place up.
Yeah, in theaters. Yeah, me too.
The house on days of days.
But we're sitting there, and there was so many times where I just exclaimed, "What? Wait." What? And you can confirm that, because there was moments where I was I'm into it and I'm just wait, what?
I was using this as a gauge just to make sure that I wasn't being overly judgmental, because I was trying to go in this movie with a very level base, even playing field, give it a chance.
So was I.
And then I would hear him going what? And I'm just sitting here going,
usually I'm not loud. I'm never loud at theaters.
No.
Usually,
no, that's why I like going to movies with you, because you typically we'll have our back and forth lines, but for the most part we'll shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Yeah, but that was the first time in my entire life that I actually exclaimed, "Wait, what?"
I can't remember. Did I smuggle beer to that one as well?
No, you smuggled Rockstar.
Oh yeah. I smuggled beer to Halloween.
And Hellboy.
Yeah.
That's
I
why
do it enough that I forget.
That's why we like that movie so much.
Yeah. Let's be honest.
So, yeah, the theater was just dead, and there was so many times where I'm glad it was an empty theater, because I was not.
Because we're not ruining some kids, Star Wars movie.
It's not like going to see The Force Awakens or Rogue One when it was just packed every
Yeah, you feel like you could actually, Well, and that's the thing I like about theaters, too, like that. It was the one positive of that situation was we had the space to be oh, okay, cool. I can't remember what movie it was that we had to, fucking switch our seats, 3 goddamn times. because the one group of kids was sitting beside us.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Or was that Tross or
No, that was not Tross.
we were sitting pretty
alone.
pretty close.
That was, I think, the Predator or Halloween.
Oh, it was the Predator.
It was the Predator?
because we were a little further back for Halloween.
Yeah. So anyway. We're doing so much to not talk about this shit.
We are avoiding the fuck out of this, aren't we?
So the opening crawl happens and it's like Palpatine's back. Da 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 da. Like the rest is all just Star Wars stuff.
Well, it's not quite as like
it's not
dry as the prequel stuff, but it's still like it's more like it removes any subtlety. It's here's the situation. Watch the situation. Like
and then we open up in like the weirdest thing with with Chewie, Finn, and Poe playing the table game. And like that was a good back and forth. I really like it was JJ's really good at that snappy back and forthness.
Yeah,
that's that Star Trek coming through.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even though I never saw Star Trek. Well no, I saw half of one.
The first one I like.
Tail end of a 3 a.m. bender.
So anyway, they have then they're there to deliver this message or get this message delivered to them via tube attached to R2D2. Who now has a little like blinker light, like a Windows 97 loading bar on his in his chest.
It's the robot equivalent of a colostomy bag.
Yeah. So, and then the like they have this like it's a massive like it's just this giant like fiber optic under the ocean tube.
Yeah. No, it was not exactly a small data.
Plugged into R2D2. The only thing we learned from that message is Palpatine's alive. Something that was already in the opening.
Well, the thing is, the characters had to learn it.
Yeah.
But at that point, why put it in the crawl? You know, if the characters learn it and you're going to start with that shock, it would have been actually a totally okay thing if the characters had found out and you're like, and okay.
Again, I just have to mention, the only way to listen to the actual message that was delivered was in a limited time event in Fortnite. So...
Wait. That was actually a thing? I thought that was a fucking joke.
No, the Palpatine message was broadcast in Fortnite, and that was the only way to hear it for a limited time. Thanks, Disney.
Real quick aside. A little bit of real talk here. Pull you in here. I don't mind. This is going to get me shot here. I don't mind Fortnite. It was a fun game. The building thing, not my cup of tea, but it was fun. It was jovial. We had some good times.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take your AAA franchise and put a key point of information in something that only a third of your demographic is going to do, you might want to rethink working in that franchise, my friend.
Yeah,
because fucking why?
Yeah, so we don't even hear the message in the movie at all.
There's so much you miss.
And then immediately after they get the message delivered, they're under attack by the TIE fighters. But we don't know who sent them. First Order? Palpatine? We don't know. They never say.
Fucking Jamba Juice Air Force. Yeah. They're here to hydrate, give you vitamin C, and commit war crimes.
Yeah. So they get attacked, and then they start, like, hyperspace skipping, and so they're, like, jumping.
That part was cool for how ridiculous it was, because in the previous one, it was this giant, like, plot twist. You can't hyperspace jump accurately, and he's randomly flicking it, and just natural 20, locking his way.
But what gets me is he's in, like different, very different locations
each
time. So
yeah, no two desert planets in a row. Because it has to be visually spectacular different. Which it was. Like, it was enjoyable. But it was like, what is happening?
Yeah, but, the movie... And then it just goes a mile a minute. And then after the attack, they escape, obviously. We cut to Rey, and she's finally training, which feels too little, too late.
Yeah, we cut to Rey, who gives a shit at this point.
And, she says this thing where she will earn the right to bear... your brother's lightsaber to Leia, and it's just like...
Yeah, because
you've already had it for 2 movies.
Yeah, in between the 2 movies, she has decided that she doesn't want to carry the lightsaber. And by the way, we're not just coming down on Rey specifically. There's the big old internet Mary Sue bit. She is, but let's be honest, we're coming down the whole fucking movie. No, she just happens to be the main character. So.
Yeah. So again, this just convenience writing, and there's a lot of character stuff I didn't like. Where all of a sudden, in the cockpit, Chewie just roars, and then Poe replies, well, Rey's not here, implying Rey's a better pilot than Poe. You know, the one who is supposed to be the pilot.
Yeah, are we going to forget about that sequence? I wonder if copyright would prevent you from, like, cutting that in right here. But that sequence where he kills, like, 13 TIE fighters in a single take.
Yeah, the one hell of a pilot.
Yeah, Rey's a better pilot. Force sensitivity does not an ace make you.
And then they land back on the base. Palpatine's alive. They have some more character stuff about the Falcon being on fire. That's more just skippable JJ fluff, really. Not really super important.
And it does tie into this movie a little bit, because there was a couple of things I noticed, which kind of pushed me towards it. So, in Rogue One, they made... What's her nugget?
Jen.
No. L3.
Oh.
They made her... They loaded
Solo,
her... Yeah, loaded her shit into the ship itself.
Yeah.
Is the Millennium Falcon now sentient?
Yes, actually, because...
Meaning it's been sentient the entire fucking
because
time.
in Empire, 3PO has that line about his ship bearing a peculiar dialect.
Yeah, that's like, they tried to refer to it a little bit more in this movie, I think. I'm just trying to think of an exact moment when they had an interface, like, when they were interfacing with the ship. It was just something that kind of popped up in my mind, and I'm like... It was one of those things where it was like, okay, all right. But, like, it was one of the few things in this movie it connected.
Yeah.
And which, speaking of, there was a lot of little, like, they actually backed off and let the actors act a little bit. And that was noticeable. There was now, admittedly, in very small soda pop, size chunks. I talked to a lot of Americans. Mm-hmm. But compared to the previous film, it was noticeably better in those little moments of interaction. It felt like you were looking at actual characters as opposed to just cardboard cutouts. Yeah. Now, it wasn't good by any means.
No, we'll get to the one scene that I think you're referring to. I think I might know what scene you're referring to. So, so they're training, and then they have to go deal with this Palpatine plot. Like, this movie moves a mile a minute. Then from that you cut to Kylo.
Oh, fuck pacing.
Yeah, just like Kylo.
We got places to be. We got 2 movies to make up for.
Like, Kylo's also doing a thing on Mustafar. That's Mustafar, apparently.
Yeah. And apparently when they in Rogue One, where they went to Vader's castle, that was Mustafar as well. Yeah. I was like, the place has cooled off a little bit.
Yeah. So they get the MacGuffin number 1, the Sith Wayfinder, of which there are 2 of.
Not gonna lie, and it's a testament to both my shit memory and how kind of just unremarkable most of the movie was. I forgot what the fucking Wayfinder was. I was just like, the triangle. Like, the Sith thing.
The
who
thing
cares?
That
go.
Hexagon, so Kylo has his Wayfinder. So then our heroes go on a trip to find MacGuffin number 2, which is the Dagger, the Dagger has the exact cutouts of, like, the Death Star wreck on that one specific planet, as if, the planet wouldn't, like, the waves or anything wouldn't shift or wouldn't deteriorate over time.
I have a lot of questions about that, because yes,
which is
like,
also
the thing, the environment would deteriorate. You look at those waves, that's going to erode that shit. It's been how many years? Yeah, it's Durasteel, but salt water is still a fucking horror, and especially when it's got
30-year period.
Yeah, when it's got 30 years to do its work. Not to mention, did you see a forge or a weaponsmith or anything suggesting that somebody would go, okay, I'm going to stand on this spot, got this angle, all right, I'm going to make this knife.
Oh, what I love about the knife is that
I missed this little bit.
Well, what I love is that she holds the knife up, right? And she's holding the knife, and then she pulls that little protractor thing out of the
What the fuck was even that? What purpose does that serve other than that? How do you find that accidentally?
You pop this thing out, and it's got a little stone arrow pointing to the exact point where the Wayfinder is, which we're getting ahead because fuck it.
I've seen a lot of dumb fucking treasure maps in my day, but that is like top 3 dumbest,
we're going to dial back, because there's also some shit to talk about on the desert planet.
Unfortunately, yes. Looking to the side,
so the first thing, they go to this desert planet, and it's like, oh, this celebration only happens every 40 years. Wah, wah. Star Wars movie celebration there. Then Rey gets given this necklace, and it's like, oh, I don't have a surname or a family name or whatever.
Yeah, which is something they hammer a lot in this movie.
And then Kylo just force Skypes her and is like, "Oh, hey, necklace, yoink," and yoinks it off her, sexual assault, by the way, into his like area of like through the Force.
Robbery?
And then he just like is like, "Here, analyze this," and like the officer doesn't question it.
So
no, we don't even get him to analyze it. It just stays on Rey.
He just presumes the analyze. The thing is, like, and the way they built that mechanic into the movie, considering how like little and how weird they had it in the last one, I thought they actually did an okay job, and that would make sense. He would take that advantage. Like, it was dumb the way they did it, and they wouldn't show him being like. But Rey's sitting there going, "Holy shit, that worked."
But of course, it's more. That convenience.
Yeah. Well, and
it's
also,
just like, of course, Kylo happens to call Rey as soon as she gets an identifying thing.
So, is the First Order ever established as being as powerful as the Empire? Because the speed of those guys' reaction to her being in that festival is so goddamn fast that the First Order had to have already been there, implying they're just kind of everywhere, like the Empire.
Have, I guess, because that one stormtrooper just shows up. He's like, "Hey!" It's like, he just is there. And then he gets shot in the fucking eye and no one cares.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one, I care for our stormtroopers.
He gets shot in the eye and nobody else reacts to it.
Yeah, none of the civilians panic because a man just died. Yeah, fuck him, he's a stormtrooper. But you hear him shot, right?
This is Billy D. Williams' character, Lando, coming in. And I
loved him. Like, you could definitely tell he was a little bit like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Of course, he can hardly walk, but
but
that's why a lot of his scenes are him sitting down.
Oh yeah,
or going to sit down, which is hilarious.
Honestly, he was one of the things that kept this movie together.
Yeah, he has he has one nice scene with Poe.
Well, and he brought some gravitas to it too. Like, and I'm not saying that the other actors can't. Like, I feel like they got an actually good cadre of actors. I'm actually a fan of Daisy Ridley. I feel like she can do some work. It's just at this point you are too far gone, and it felt like the first half of this movie was retconning the second one. And then it hit a point where we actually started this movie.
Yeah, and then it started, like, it still sprinkled some of that across the rest of the film.
A little bit, like, with Rose popping up here and there. Who's got, like, just super fucking squared away and shit. And, like,
yeah, she's just in
I feel bad for her, man. Like, that's gotta suck. But at the same time, it is what it is.
Like, so then they meet Lando. Like we're skipping over so much.
Yeah, I'm really bad about linear continuity right now.
Well, there's just so much like dialogue in here that is just like, oh, Leia has a contact for us. And of course, it's fucking Lando.
Precisely 5% of it too. Like it was so unremarkable.
Yeah, it
wasn't necessarily
they have a bunch
bad,
of subplots in here that don't go anywhere. Like Finn having to tell Rey something that just disappears. Poe, everyone hating on Poe for being a smuggler, even though apparently I haven't read this, but in a book or in a comic or something, he's been with Leia in the Resistance the entire fucking time.
I feel
unless he had like a rebellious teenage year.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a rebel or a Resistance member,
of course you're gonna know how to hotwire something.
No, I feel like no one has the right to judge because you're all by the letter of the law of the dominant power in the universe. You're all criminals anyway. Yeah. So, you're a smuggler. Who gives a shit? You're a slaver. You know?
Yeah. Well, they do that. Like,
and I know that
they do that joke. You were a smuggler? You were a stormtrooper?
Yeah. Like, I did like that little bit of like backhand.
Yeah, we can do this all day. Like I like that.
Yeah. Can we not go there, motherfucker?
But again, it's all these little dialogue moments that I don't want to get bogged down into because there's just so many that just have issue after issue after issue because Disney can't like keep track of their own continuity.
And there's finally using a lightsaber as a flashlight. Which I know the Old Republic did, but it's nice to see in the main movies. Like, holy shit, that's a great fucking idea, man! I wonder if anyone figured that out ever.
That's
and then the snake
stupid worm scene where like they fly now thing that was.
Like the worm scene was I thought narratively like okay that makes sense why they have it in there, but it would have been nice had. Well, I mean, again,
let me just undercut you by saying first. They sink into the wormhole, the worm
it was
tunnel.
An accident.
But how do you have a sinkhole or like quicksand over a tunnel that they just fall into?
That is an extremely good point.
So,
and I'm realizing now it's not the only movie that I've seen that in.
No, I've seen it a couple. I've seen it in a couple movies, but at least in like the one time they did it in Harry Potter, it kind of worked because it's like they fall like the first movie they fall into those like black tendrils. And then it's like,
to be fair, that movie, like, that universe has established magic, so it's kind of believable.
Yeah.
Versus, like, this is just a natural occurrence that I guess so.
Yeah. But, and then, again, it's super convenient. They drop down into the hole, and then Poe has this stupid line about bones, which goes nowhere again, like it's a joke, but it's like...
It's a joke that doesn't land.
but it's like, Poe, you kill people. Why are you afraid of bones?
Yeah. You have straight up murdered several hundred people.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you will, even as a combatant, you have taken a lot of life. So why
do...
Because you're a fight. I think it's maybe because he's like a fighter pilot and he's like, you know, a little bit disengaged from it. Like he shoots, you know, a TIE fighter blows up. It blows up 100 feet over there.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe, but and then after they find the bones, they find the Sith assassin Ochi and his fucking dagger. Very convenient.
Also, that name.
Ochi. It's great. I love it. He's right up there with Babu Frick. Babu Frick is
We'll get to him. We will get to him, all right? Don't give me hope just yet.
Okay. So, in this tunnel, they find the dagger. Then they get attacked by a then they have no way out. They get attacked by a sandworm. Rey force heals the sandworm. Sandworm moves away, revealing a hole.
See, I'm okay with the force heal part. I'm okay with her finding this ability out late, but it would have been nice
if it actually had some adverse effect to her. Like
yes,
if she was tired or something. But...
And if there'd have been a little bit of like foreshadowing, yeah, exactly, because that was just they made that look like whatever, and then later on that comes into play. And you're like,
she has a line that's like, using force healing, it takes up some of my energy. It's like, but you don't like.
Yeah, you clearly use fucking none of it.
You're not doing anything. Did you
just pound a 4-pack of Rockstar off screen or something there, honey, or what?
Yeah, well, and then they leave the tunnel. I have energy. Then Kylo Ren's there, and Chewbacca goes off by himself. So, and of course, Chewbacca has the dagger.
Before we move too far away from that, I would have been completely fine with even the complete malarkey of them falling to the tunnel, that happening, and then bopping out. I would have just put it in as I would have just wrote it off as kind of a badly written scene. Mm-hmm. But I can see why they would have included it. But I wish, and as we've established. I'm great. My Bothan is improving. Mm-hmm. As we've established that they had no plan for this trilogy when they started making it. They were making the first movie. They actually confirmed that. Yeah, they made the first movie and they weren't even...
Daisy Ridley confirmed it.
Oh, yeah. Like they were making the first movie and they weren't even thinking about the third.
Well,
so it would have been nice, again, had they just redone the fucking thing and put in a little bit where she like gets a cut on her finger and she's like, oh. And then it's mysteriously healed. And like she just... doesn't think about it, because that would be a little bit like, she's always been force capable and has just been writing it off as like, I'm just, I heal quickly. Like that would have been like, okay, it's been there the whole time. It would have established it at least a little bit.
So circling back to what you said about planning the whole trilogy, I just want to make a special mention that 70% or so of this movie was reshot. Post-production finished 2 weeks before this film hit theaters.
Yeah, this was a fucking... This was a wire. Like, the amount of people who were just unknown, who did, pulled long shifts, late nights, just back-breaking fucking work.
And that's why some of the special effects look like utter garbage.
Well, and that's what makes me go a little softer in this movie, because it's for being what it is, which is mostly a reshoot, it's not as bad as the previous one.
Yeah.
Which had time, but anyways.
Wasn't really reshot as far as I know. Anyway, so we're back on this desert planet. Chewie goes off by himself with the dagger.
We don't remember the fucking name, because at this point we've seen so many goddamn planets, and they keep just making new ones instead of going back to one we're familiar with, or a trade hub, or, anything that makes any fucking sense. So
Chewie gets captured off screen, which is like, great, we didn't get to see the Wookiee fight. That would have been fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, just watch Chewie fucking dummy a couple
awesome
of bitches.
To have him like fight the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, and get captured, but like
still have a fight, because he's a fucking Wookiee.
Yeah.
A 7-foot-tall muscle.
They make all these jokes about him ripping people's arms off, and it happens precisely
That was
once.
a deleted scene in Force Awakens. Though.
I know.
But anyway, Chewie gets captured, led onto a transport ship. Kylo shows up, tries to I have to say this, tries to run down Rey in a TIE fighter. Rey starts running away.
Yeah,
Rey
the
does
Prometheus school of things too, running straight fucking away from it
Rey
instead of to the side.
does like a super, like does a jump, flip, slashes the wing off.
Spetsnaz backwards flipping hatchet attack.
Yeah. Kylo doesn't immediately eject. He rolls with this fucking thing. And it's a horrific crash. Like, it is
It
awful.
should have killed him.
Not only is it rolling, like, at, like, top speed, it rolls and then explodes, but...
And he's got plot armor, so it's fine.
He walks out like nothing
Oh,
happened.
yeah, not even burnt.
Yeah, like, his cape is like, still a cape.
Yeah, it's not even, like, singed or anything. And that's the thing in this movie is that plot armor is so extreme that it's in the navigation software, as proven by the fucking, like, the Millennium Falcon bit from earlier, and this, where it's like, no, he's not, concussed or a little bit wobbly after rolling in a steel ball of holy fuck with the G-forces of it.
Then they have another fight, and then it ends with a Force tug-of-war that Rey accidentally uses Force Lightning from, one of the most high-end Sith powers.
I don't know how you accidentally use that, but I guess it makes sense because she's like trying really hard.
And then she blows up the transport that they think Chewie is on, which is like...
Which, if you've ever seen a movie ever, you're immediately sitting there going, bait and switch.
And then immediately the next fucking scene, they reveal Chewie's alive.
Yeah, they don't let it, like, rumble. They don't go, ooh, they killed Chewie. Like, not once was it going... Man, they legit killed Chewie. I was going, all right, when's it coming back?
Yeah.
And it would have been fine had they brought it back later.
They just did it immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it was insulting.
There was no subtlety, which I think, again, reshoot might have been...
So then they find that the Dagger has this inscription on it in a language that C-3PO conveniently cannot read because it's against his programming, which is really weird when you think about it.
My question is, does C-3PO have, like... I mean, he's a pussy. So he should. But does he have, like, self-preservation programming? I mean, he's running away from blaster fire. He's never being really directly shot at, right?
I'm going to steal this joke from some people online, but he couldn't say the N-word. So they had to take C-3PO to a specific droid smith. So to hack... Hold, let me just get this out. They had to take... C-3PO to a specific character called Babu Frick, so Babu Frick could hack the N-word pass into C-3PO.
Before we get into the wonderfulness that is Babu Frick. Yeah, you threw me off so hard there. I was not expecting that.
Well, that's like the next scene.
I know.
The next part is...
So, but 3CPO, as apparently... It's his underground German porn name. But he's got, like, self-preservation software. He's running away from blaster bolts.
Yeah.
So, I can't read this. It's against my programming. Read it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you threaten the droid? What is he going to do?
Yeah.
I would threaten him. Fine, I'll ventilate you, and then I'll ventilate R2.
Yeah.
Just kidding, R2 actually like you.
Yeah, but, like...
I'll fucking do it.
God, and then, like, so they hack, so they go to Babu Frick, who is like, hey, he's like a little drunk man. He's
this little ball of, he's what Keith, my headcanon is that he's Keith Richards that far in the future. That's all that's left. He's just done so many drugs, and
he's just like this tiny little dude, and he's the best.
He's the goofiest little fuck, but somehow he makes it enjoyable.
Yeah, he's got like the best.
To their credit, they actually give C-3PO a good little scene where he's kind of consigning himself with his death.
Which again was a fake out.
Was a fake out because they can't...
Well, they even drop a line like, can't we restore your memory from R2's memory banks? It's like, R2's memory banks have always been unreliable, blah, blah, blah.
And R2's like, okay.
Meanwhile, I'm like, since when?
Yeah. Since when
has R2 ever not, like...
Since he's watched the beginnings of Anakin Skywalker and, the Battle for Naboo and the entirety of the Clone Wars and Galactic Civil War, not to mention whatever the fuck you're calling this afterwards, yes, unreliable.
Yeah, like, when has he ever had unreliable memory?
He's never even been shot.
No, he has.
Oh, he's been tased, but
he's been tased.
And now stun rounds, like shot like blaster hold.
So anyway, they have this. Well, the sentimental scene they have with 3PO is like.
It's kind of nice, actually. I think
it would have been nice if it was actually going to be deleted.
Yeah.
And he was looking at Han, Leia, Luke.
Yeah.
Not Rey.
Yeah, characters where he's known for
Finn,
less than a few months.
And the Rocketeer.
Yeah.
She's a character, the Rocketeer.
She is somebody from Poe's past who dies and then doesn't die. Disney really likes to have it both ways in this movie, I've realized. They love to do they died, we had this emotional scene, now they're back. And they do
that was so
over and
that was so
over.
fucking funny when you see that planet blow up later in the movie. And then during the final battle, the lady shows up with it in an X-Wing and Babu Frick's like, well, hey!
Yeah, that did give me enough of a laugh to make me look over the fact of, like, how exactly did you fucking
Especially
get
because
off
she
of that?
said, like, they can't get off the planet because of the First Order blockade.
I mean, that makes sense. Babu Freak's the craziest drugged out motherfucker that he's got an X-Wing sitting in the back of his garage under a tarp like, I forgot that! Fuck!
Well,
shit!
Well, he had, like...
Stick a carburetor in and she's good to go.
He had B-1 battle droid fingers hanging from the... Like, arms hanging from the roof of his shop.
You know...
I would actually love to, like, walk through that, like, specific
They made
set.
a really cool set for that one. Again, like, for
And
some reason,
like
Babu
one
Freak
set,
is a
he's got, like,
injection
the
of quality.
Yeah, he's got, like, the coolest part of the movie is Babu.
Fuck it, let's give him a spin-off. It's a stronger fucking property than goddamn main
And then we're also skipping over... Well, we're going to get to that, but...
Oh, we're getting there.
So, not even, like, a few minutes after Chewie's supposed death, Rey senses he's alive, and conveniently, that Star Destroyer hovering above the planet.
As where else would he be if he were
Which
captured?
the Rocketeer conveniently has a captain's coin, which is weird that they would use a coin, not like codes like, you know, the Empire did.
Or like a identification tag, or literally anything that can't be just stolen.
A goofy giant golden coin.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah, it's like that big. Like it's a belt buckle, apparently.
It might be like a ceremonial thing, but if so, like, how could you get away with using that as identification? That's like, all right, cool. We can infiltrate Fort Meade. I've got a Marine's fucking ceremonial sword. This will get us there. No, it won't.
Yeah,
that's the equivalent.
Yeah, but they get into the ship, and then it's like they have this rickety old Ochi's ship, and it's like, wait a minute, wouldn't the First Order like visually like, hey, that's not that captain's ship?
Yeah,
because they would have all that in the fucking rig. Like,
guess he likes a classic, huh?
Yeah.
Guess he likes a beater.
Well,
he drives a beater in his office.
Well, they even have like the guys in second command under Kylo, like, whose ship is that later?
Yeah.
Like, what?
And nobody questioned this when it was, just driving over to your fucking Star Destroyer.
Well, to their credit, they do come out guns blazing and kill every single stormtrooper in the docking bay.
I mean, yeah, but there's a thing called a security camera.
Security cameras,
that
sensors.
We have now.
Which, actually, in A New Hope, they actually shot out security cameras. Remember that?
Remember when they put a little bit of thought into the...
Yeah.
I did.
Like, so...
Pepper's Farm.
So then they split up. Rey goes looking for the dagger, which is in Kylo's bedroom, alongside Vader's helmet and some other gubbins.
Man.
And
his helmet is just sitting there watching his grandson
knock
off.
And it's on like a pedestal too.
Yeah.
So it's like
spirit. Like, you think Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost is just over there? Like, it's like, oh, we have to go. Kyle's gonna beat it now. Jesus Christ! Fuck.
Yeah.
This is not.
Oh man, that would be so embarrassing if, like, you know how in the Clone Wars when
he's having quiet moments.
In the Clone Wars when they revealed that like some powerful Siths are able to tie their like a form of their spirit to items.
Yeah.
Like Darth Bane's to like his mask or whatever in the tomb that Yoda visits.
Yes.
Imagine if like a Force ghost version of Vader was tied to the mask.
Sup, dweeb? Boy, hello, disappointment. Boy, apple fell far from the fucking tree, didn't it? You know, all the way down to an Udapal Sinkhole.
And then while Rey is doing that, the other Finn and Poe are going to save Chewbacca.
Doing the actual work.
Which they do. And to their credit, the plot armor weakens enough for Poe to get shot and wounded.
Well, not
but
mortally.
He gets wounded, but it doesn't do anything for the rest of the film.
We are forgetting a little part, which they did establish further, and that comes into play right fucking now. The spy.
Oh, yes.
The spy. We don't know who the spy is. Immediately I lean over and said, I was like,
Hux walks in.
It's fucking Hux.
And it's just, yeah, like...
And he shoots two guys and goes, I'm the spy. I'm like, yeah, we knew.
Yeah. And
I mean, I like that.
The dumbest motivation for it ever.
I mean, no, I can respect the motivation, though.
Wanting
I don't care about the rebellion. Just make Kylo Ren lose. I can respect that. But I hate this motherfucker so much that I will help you.
But wanting to bury your entire organization you spent your entire life building and becoming a respected authority figure.
If you're in the lore, the one your father helped.
Yeah. Like...
I mean, no one's saying he isn't an idiot, but the motivation is at least kind of clear.
Like, he clearly helps sink the first
It's a better motivation than hope.
But yeah, that's true.
If we're really being fair here.
And then again, his exit is in the next scene where he gets shot and he gets sent across the fucking
because the
deck.
one capable commander in the entire First Order is like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Because they're like, shoot me in the leg. Or like, he's like, yeah, shoot me in the foot. And he shoots him in the leg, which, power to the pro. I would have shot him in like higher up here. I'd have made it life-threatening. But even then, like, he's like, oh, yes, we have, boom, 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 whichever. And he just pulls out his gun and wham! All right.
He takes a gun from the stormtrooper standing right there and just shoots him.
I mean, I gotta respect that guy for doing his own dirty work. Now, wasn't that guy in the original trilogy or something like that?
No, there's a scene with him and Palpatine saying that he served in the Empire. And then became a First Order guy.
Fucking old is that guy. But yeah,
he could have been like early 20s in the war, in the Galactic Civil War, and then
I guess
30 years on, it's kind of 50
true.
So
the timeline does line up at the very least. Yeah, fair enough. But it is one of those things that, like, again, a little bit of foreshadowing would have been...
We're going to save all the Palpatine stuff for when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because there are some important scenes where certain things that Palpatine said comes back that make matters worse. Yeah. So then they escape to a plains forest planet near Endor.
I thought it was Endor.
No, it's...
I thought they explicitly said it was Endor.
No, I think it
has a planet.
It's another part of that system. I think so, yeah.
I could have swore it was Endor,
Endor,
though.
technically, Endor is like the big...
But the forest moon of Endor. Endor squared.
Yeah.
I could have swore it was that, but...
Saskatchewan, we'll call it.
It looked like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
It looked like a foothill.
Yeah.
It looked a bit like Alberta towards Saskatchewan.
It looks like that
I've made
road
the drive to
going
Regina. It's a flat fucking drive.
Like, it looks like that...
We're Canadian.
Going from, here to, North Battleford.
Yeah. Like, occasional hills, but... Sorry. But for the most part... part, flat. Yeah, no, very much. Glad to know that the second Death Star came down somewhere around Olds.
Well, don't you know it's just outside Maidstone?
Yeah. No one is going to know what the fuck we're talking about, man. These are very specific geographical references. I just referenced Olds. I've said Olds 4 times in my life, and that was one of them.
These are all,
Maidstone is a small town, composed of about maybe 80 people.
Yeah.
Maybe. And that town is being generous. They have a post office.
Yeah, well...
Or in Canada,
well, don't you know, they hit the checklist. You have post office, and that makes you a city. Or a town.
Still better locations than half the ones shown in Star Wars. Still more memorable.
Yeah. Well, enough about Canadian geography.
Let's try to get this one back on track.
Enough about Canadian geography. We're on this planet, which just so happens to be inhabited by this group. Or is it a group? Or is it just... Because we only see the one person, really.
You see, she shows up with a posse, but she's the only one talking. So, I think she says we in the royal pretense, so I assume they're a group.
Yeah.
Of deserter stormtroopers. Which is a cool concept.
Who broke from the programming with the... it's implied between Finn and
showcasing the flaws of not using clones.
Yeah, that they both have the Force, and that's why they broke from the First Order programming. I mean... Sure,
don't just make them strong people and who just did it because they can. No. Make them Force sensitive. Make nothing... remarkable, make everything provided for by the characters. Don't make it any of their motivation is them being a strong human being because they can. No. We don't want characters that deep or developed.
Yeah. Then, Rey once again displaying her powers of Mary Sue by being able to go out on the water on a raft Which,
you know,
she's grown up on the desert.
Yeah,
planet.
I was gonna say, you know, she's got all that practice from sailing down sand dunes. You know, that move.
Even like the person says, "Oh, the water's too risky. We can't go out there."
It's okay. She's got plot armor.
Ray does it.
Yeah.
Like, no problem.
With no consequence either. Doesn't get the shit banged out of her or nothing. Doesn't get caught. Doesn't lose a foot. That would have been something.
She doesn't even get wet.
No, she doesn't.
Which, obvious reasons why. Disney doesn't want to sexualize any women, is what I was trying to say.
Oh, I missed that completely. I just thought it was stupid.
Well, it's both. So
I mean, it does make sense how she was able to get up in the, and they
Yeah.
do show like her grappling about. I'm like, okay, well, she did that in Star Destroyers.
Yeah,
It stands to reason.
that she could do it there. Like,
And
that that's the only time her character background actually
Yeah.
makes sense. It's so
And then
sad.
they show up at the fucking
The
throne room from
which,
Return.
if you remember in Return of the Jedi, was on a giant tower.
Yep.
At the top.
That survived an explosion and a fall
That
from
was also
orbit.
yeah. So
Reasonably well conditioned too. Like it's a little.
there's still
little
glass
dank.
pieces in the window.
Yeah.
Like
And
then apparently the Sith Wayfinder is in like Emperor Palpatine's bathroom
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
I
That-
brought it in the shit I do.
That Kylo beat him,
Look at it when I fall.
and then Kylo shows up. Like, well, they have the trailer bait with Dark Ray.
Hurt.
That went nowhere.
Oh my god, that was
with the stupid shark teeth.
man.
that
There,
was fun.
yeah, the shark teeth. Like,
That was
why
fun.
did they do that? Like the lightsaber was like, cool, but
Oh
shark
no, the
teeth.
lightsaber was dumb too. The two that flips into the one.
They
that
could have
was-
just made it double bladed.
Yeah.
They could have just pulled them all. They could have just. See, I say that, and then I was immediately gonna shit on them for like when the throne room shows up and they quietly play like the music when
Oh,
Luke
yeah.
shows up.
Well, that's a running theme throughout the movie. They repurpose themes from the old movies, and it's like, wow.
And I would totally be fine with them calling back to older properties if the context of the current scene wasn't so fucking stupid and implausible.
Yep.
Like them referring to Rey's climbing ability.
That worked because that was we were showing.
I was
that
like,
in the
oh,
first
okay,
movie.
yeah, she climbs. Like that's what it was a thought I had during the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
It felt
Like a natural part of her character.
exactly.
The one time.
And then they just
Have
and then they do the whole fucking
the duel in
Sith
the water and,
fake thing, and then Kylo Ren shows up at that point
and
in time.
crushes the Wayfinder.
Yeah, and fucks it. I mean, I did like that, but it's like the man hasn't been a threat since the first movie. She beat
Since
him.
the opening scene in the first movie.
Yeah, well, she beat him untrained in the first movie.
And then she beats him again.
So when he shows
In the
up,
Last
how is she
Jedi.
not like, oh, again, buddy, enough of this?
And then she actually does technically kill him, but so they have a fight. Finn shows up at the fight to scream.
And now, admittedly, it was a good-looking fight.
Yes,
They actually worked pretty hard on the choreography, and comparing it to the fights previously,
it was
a
the
good
best
one.
fight. In
Yeah, it was
this
visually
trilogy.
nice to look at with the whole water and shit. Like that was I like that. I like that. So I can't really shit on them for that
Yeah.
because they did clearly
But then
hear what people had to say about that and worked on that
and
part
then-
alone.
Well, no. In this fight, Kylo is about to win, gets
Yeah.
stunned by Leia's passing away, and then Rey just fucking gut checks him with the lightsaber.
I did like that where she's just like, nope, like she takes the opportunity.
But also, she senses Leia's death like a moment later, which is just like that's convenient.
Yeah, and see,
And then she just heals him, and it does nothing.
Yeah,
to her
right.
Anyway,
I wish that she would have felt Leia's death and like saw that he was seeing it and then used that as an opportunity. That would have been a nice I would have loved it had she just went to the dark side in this movie.
Oh,
Had they pull not like, oh, here's Joe, like I would have loved it had they just fucked half the universe up and been like, yeah, no, she's evil now. That was the start. Like that would have been, they would have had some balls and shit, and that would have set up an interesting follow-up series, I think.
except it's Disney. Yeah. So anyway, this leads into the scene I was referring to earlier, where you were saying there was some good acting bits, but then I also said there was some problems with Palpatine. So earlier in the movie, Kylo meets Palpatine, and Palpatine says, "I have been every voice inside your head," and Vader's, his own, and Snoke's voice.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind for what I'm about to say.
Okay. Yeah, they straight up confirmed that, and like I guess that Snoke was just this paper man.
Yeah. So the big head in the Wizard of Oz, basically.
Effectively.
No, like 100%, because he was the big guy in TFA.
Wow, and the angles that they shot it at were actually fairly close.
Like he was one up.
Was that a fucking reference?
No.
An homage? No.
No, it's there's no way, unless like some retroactive person's like, oh yes, of course it was totally that. It's like
surely it's parallelism.
That, or it's just completely accidental, and we're reading into it a little too much.
That's what we do, man. Come on.
So anyway, Kylo now gets healed by Rey. Rey and Finn just kind of fuck off, and Kylo's sitting there with this hole in his uniform.
Bitch ruined my shirt.
And my favorite shirt. And then suddenly Harrison Ford shows up and is like, "Hey,
I got contractual obligation.
Stop being an asshole, kid." And then,
I mean, he added a little bit of warmth to it, which was nice, but it was like...
But then again...
killed him off movie.
It's like, Kylo, every voice inside your head is Palpatine.
I didn't even think about that.
And then he's just forgiving himself through the proxy of Han, and it's like... What?
I didn't even think about that.
Like, he wouldn't... Look, I don't think Dad Solo would forgive his son for stabbing him like that. Maybe.
No, but it is a hard ball to call that one, but I never thought of it from that angle.
But like also, so it's like he forgives himself, and then he takes his lightsaber, the only weapon he has, and just fucking hucks it into the water. And then he's unarmed. But then I guess he finds a blaster somewhere. Because then the next time we see him, he shows up.
He's probably got one in there.
In a regular TIE fighter, which doesn't have the fucking...
Where did he find that?
Well, I could assume there's maybe one that's flyable, but guess what? TIE fighters are a short-range fighter. They do not have life support. They do not have the hyperspeed. They don't have light speed.
I think that... I don't know if they mentioned...
Only the ones in the First Order ones do.
He shows up in an OG TIE Fighter. Okay, see, I was thinking, I remember them mentioning, or maybe I just heard the lore or something, that the First Order ones had life support and hyperdrives.
They do.
But he shows up in an OG TIE.
In TFA, if they didn't have life support, Poe and Finn would have been dead.
Yeah. Oh, hands down, yeah.
So, he shows up in an OG TIE.
Which looks nice, but doesn't make any fucking sense.
On Exegol into the finale, which is like...
Exegol, the planet we've heard about.
And then, so... Finn and Poe, they go back to the base, and then Poe has a nice sentimental scene with Lando. Like, that was a nice scene.
Yeah.
But again, the rest, like, it's hard not to, like, if you took it completely out of context, fine, but within the context of the rest of the trilogy, it's just...
It's hard to take.
It's
hard for it to be so impactful.
Empty.
Yeah.
It's... Yeah. It's trying, but there's just no connection between any of these characters at all.
Yeah, which makes me legit sad, because they had a lot of really awesome stuff going on with them. And they had a lot of people to work with, and that's what they
just
made.
Didn't use them.
That's what we got.
We never got a shot in this trilogy of Luke, Han, and Leia together physically in the same room.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. As a Star Wars fan,
Luke and Han never... actually were on the screen at the same time, though.
Yeah, no.
In this entire trilogy.
We don't even see Luke's reaction to Han's death. It's just...
Yeah, they just gloss right past it.
It's... To an OG fan, it just
it's almost
hurts. It's very insulting. So anyway, here we have a little bit of smatterings of fuck you, TLJ. Rose Tico shows up, and it's like, Finn's like... Rose, come with us. It's like, no, Leia's got me pouring over, like, maps of old Star Destroyers and shit for some reason.
Last time I came with you, almost fucking died. So,
and then, And then I was going to say, why... I was going to try work a sexual harassment joke in there when Rose kissed Finn and TLJ. I was going to try working it in there, but it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
Just like their relationship. There we go, saved it.
Barely, I'll give it to you.
But then my favorite line is fucking Mary Brandy Buck shows up.
Leave it to one of the nine.
Movie, and he shows up. He's like, "Hey, why don't we do some holdo maneuvers, do some real damage? And then Finn's like, no, that's impossible. It's a 1 in a million shot.
No, it's fucking not. You program a hyperspace to go a ship on. You could get a fucking droid to do it. Go, all right, go to this direction and go through these people and operate back at this moment. If you can pin, if people, I refuse to believe that. Yeah. Sorry, Mary, I love you, but fuck you for that.
No, Finn says it.
Oh,
Mary is like, why don't we do it?
I rescind that. You're
and then Finn says, no, we can't. It's a 1 in a million shot.
If the Empire and everybody else
which implies Holdo wasn't trying to suicide bomb. It implies that she was trying to escape and horrifically failed.
Yeah, and everybody thinks it's a sacrifice, and she's like, no, I was trying to live.
The one time out of 999, whatever times, the one time.
The one time it fucks up. She's like, it's 100% chance of...
and that was fun. Like, there was a lot of, like, it just really highlights the tug of war between the three movies.
I refuse to believe that we've seen ships several times in this franchise in both Imperial, Rebel, Resistance, and First Order, hyperspace and land in formation.
Yeah.
Bullshit that's a 1 in a million shot. And also, no one other than that raises a good point why you don't do that. Why don't you just get a bunch of shitty cargo haulers, go to the fucking black market, buy the worst shit, get an old
and then just hyperspeed it,
slam the throttles in that bitch, duct tape the fucking steering column shut.
Well, that was them trying to, like, oh shit.
They try to get around the perfect solution to the situation. Oh, massive Imperial fleet on Exegol. Oh, we know the planet.
Oh god, so
somebody call Chrysler. I'm gonna buy every fucking car.
Poe sends Lando goes off to recruit the galaxy, which is, if they're going to show up against 1,000 Star Destroyers, which are Death Star capable.
Yeah, which they just
but they didn't show up when, like, the First Order was arguably at its weakest, when the big Star Dreadnought's dead, Star Killer's dead, Supremacy's torn in half, they have a few walkers on the planet and the Death Star laser on the planet and auxiliary troops. And nobody showed up to help them in that engagement? Why are they helping when this thousands of Star Destroyers fully manned on Exegol?
Why did they not...
That can't go up, by the way. They don't know the way up. That's a literal line that gives that's the line that they drop for the heroes to have a fighting chance. Why would the universe show up to... Like, the galaxy show up to fight those things? If Lando came to me, and I had, like, a small fleet of ships, and I'm like a pirate... or something. I have a fleet of combat ships or something. And Lando tells me, hey, we're going up against thousands of Star Destroyers that are capable of destroying a planet in a single shot.
Have been told to do that.
Come with me.
You want to live? Time to fight.
I would be like, I would be almost skeptical.
A little bit, yeah.
Because I would be like, okay, you're bullshitting me. There's no way.
Fuck you, Han Solo.
Because there's no way. Like, it's completely unbelievable in 60 years, when it took them 30 years to get the Death Star Prototype 1 to work. And within 30 years, they had the Death Star, or like within 6 years, they had Death Star 2. But then 30 years, they managed to downscale the Death Star into a singular ship.
I'd always imagine it that, like, with the first two Death Stars, they had, like, I imagine they got the first one halfway finished, and he's like, well, I want a second one of these, so let's get this cooking. So, like, that's what I kind of digested it as. But like,
again,
to go from that to, like...
Because the Death Star needed the focusing disc, the big crystals,
and then to completely retrofit all your existing ships to have that system. Like, where was the drive yards to do that? You guys don't have quad drive yards anymore.
Where are you getting the crystals from? If you've already scavenged Lum and Jeddah, and then those got blown up, and then Starkiller was Lum, which got blown up,
and then
where are you getting these crystals from?
Even
unless
to your
you're
earlier
synthesizing
point,
them.
Like, yes, this is a threat that could take out the galaxy, but so was Starkiller Base. That thing could take out a system at a time,
and nobody cared.
And nobody did a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Including the New Republic with its, I presume it had a navy.
So...
That was just nowhere.
In the finale of this has all just been our plot breakdown.
Yeah.
In the finale...
What plot?
There's a big atmosphere battle, which doesn't make a fucking
space
sense.
battle, but it's not in space.
which
Because
again
you
doesn't
see
make any
clouds.
sense. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do the Rey stuff separate, and we're gonna do the space battle first.
Yep.
So space battle. Poe shows up with his squad of X-wings and whatever ships they had, which they tried to confirm that one ship was the actual Tantive 4. They tried to sell me on that, I think, in the Tross Visual Dictionary.
You read that?
I saw pages of it on Twitter.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give it to us. Like, man, you're one of 5 people who read that. Today, well, you see, as a parallel here, the Pioneer probes are, at this point, past the limit of our solar system. And they've yet to find anyone who fucking cares.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't care.
Yeah, like...
Ooh! Cool.
Yeah.
It's the 10 and 4. I'm like, why does it have to be? You've had one ship. You have one Corellian Corvette. I mean, yeah, they last forever, sure, but...
How?
Why?
How has that not been
Why does that matter?
impounded and stripped down and...
Just don't.
Like,
Do what you
how's
did
that
in the
not
movie
destroyed?
and don't address it, make it a
But,
spaceship.
But, so, like...
It doesn't have to be the same
so
shit
in
every
this
time.
space battle, they have all this fighting going on. And then then you find out that the entire plan relies on a comms relay tower, which is like this, like a regular comms relay tower on the ground.
No, let's not hold a maneuver into that.
Telling the ships which way is up, because apparently ships in atmosphere where there is
There was
ground
ground, yeah.
and nothing above. They don't know where to go up. And apparently Star Destroyer shields don't work in atmosphere, which is like great, cool.
So yeah, you parked your entire war fleet in
The only place where it would be vulnerable.
In the only place where it'd be vulnerable, you put the giant, super powerful weapons on the bottom of the ship. You then park them in atmosphere.
The weak point is you.
Yeah, but you park them in atmosphere by the fucking ground where they can't bring those to bear on, I don't know, any carriers that might come out.
Yeah.
And then you put the command ship way the fuck up here.
And then
With no fighter escort, by the by.
Yeah,
or, because destroyers or escort ships are not a thing anymore.
The fighters go for the ground relay tower. Finn uses the Force to find out, hey, the ground relay is not the thing anymore, which apparently Force can pick up comm signals now.
Yeah.
And it tells him to go to the command ship, which they go to the command ship. They launch, like, Star Wars versions of D-Day landing craft on the side of a Star Destroyer.
Although the first step or the first order had those before and used them in the first movie, so I'll get.
But then also, General goes, jam their speeders. Like, that's a thing
They're
that
not
they could do.
using. Yeah, right. That's a thing you could do the whole time. Jam the speeders. What? They're fucking radios.
Yeah, like
we ain't found shit. Like that's energy.
Like, and then it's like they're not using speeders, and they're using the fucking horses from the Saskatchewan planet.
Okay, I will say,
just tilt the ship and it's over.
Yeah, I will say I did like that because it is the kind of crazy that could work. They're in a mile-long ship. Fucking cavalry charge that bitch.
Yeah.
We're taking the goddamn ship. But all you have to do is, all right, Lieutenant will give a 90-degree rotation, keep the anti-gravs on.
So the charge works. They get to the point. Finn drops grenades in this hatch that somehow
there is a
blows up
lot
the
of
tower.
really weird, like, hatches to the outside of the hull. Like, if you had an armored battle-plated hull like that had that much exposed surface area, you're not putting your hatches in the middle of an open spot. You're putting them in a turret, like, housing, or you're putting it right next to it. Why the fuck
is it out? Well, he drops, like, a belt of thermal detonators down, and somehow that blows up the tower.
Which is not how...
But then there's a line
grenades work.
from General Price to say, reboot the systems to bring our tower online when the tower has been blown up.
Yeah, did you not hear the explosion that just rocked your
But then
stance?
they also don't change the signal back to the ground tower. And then Finn's like, hey, let's blow up the command deck on this ship. Makes sense. That's like a next logical step.
That's like step number 1 for me on if I'm assaulting an
so
Imperial
then they blow up the
Star
command
Destroyer.
ship. They blow up the command ship, and then just like every other fucking thing, the mothership goes down, every other ship goes down.
Yep.
And then, but also during this battle, during the mid-battle, Palpatine goes like, and then he shoots up thousands of lightning.
Dubstep Sith lightning. That was pretty cool, because it kind of goes all quiet and That part was.
Then
I did
he
like that part
shoots
actually.
lightning super accurately from his fingers
I
to
don't-
shock every single.
Well,
No, yeah, he does.
I mean,
he only shocks the ally ships.
It's Sith lightning. It kind of hits whatever's in front of it. Like,
But
you
it-
can aim it at something, but
yeah.
it's not like pinpoint. So I just assumed he just did a big old powerful blast and just sent up a couple of core things, and then it did kind of the work itself.
But either way, he only manages to short circuit the heroes' ships, which is when everyone starts going down. And
I thought he hit the first. I thought he was hitting some
No.
ISDs too.
No. No, it's just hero ships. And then you have Poe like, oh no, all hope's lost. Is like, this is, and then Lando comes in. There's like, it's just like, hey, remember all the ship designs from Star Wars ever?
Remember everything we've ever made?
And it's just like all in one shot, which is really funny.
They didn't have a droid TIE fighter.
Which is really funny when you remember that all those ships had to go through the space cancer to get there.
Oh yeah.
Which is really
Somehow.
funny because they have to like go through a specific like course to get there.
Yeah.
And every single ship at all the same time somehow got through, came out of light speed, not in single file, but in like one
In
just
formation, yeah.
giant formation, which is really impressive for just a bunch of ragtag ships.
Yeah, it is for just literally people. As
Yeah.
they say, like, people.
And then, well, it's nice seeing Lando flying the Falcon again.
Oh, yeah.
Chewie, that was nice.
So, here's the thing. If they had to fly all that to get in, that means all the Star Destroyers who couldn't tell which way was up or down had to fly that to get out.
yeah. But
Why even worry?
oh yeah, they don't even have like the wayfinders anymore. I guess Palpatine's just going to be like go
Ah,
this
shit.
way.
Take a right by the Circle
I have a
K.
map.
I have a map. Take a right by the Circle K. If you
So-
hit the RBC, you've gone too far.
So all this space battle stuff's happening, and then now let's go down to the Palpatine stuff.
Nuremberg, as I'm calling it.
Yeah, the Emperor. Anyway,
Sith
so
Nuremberg.
so Palpatine and Rey shows up to fight Palpatine. Kylo also shows up back up at this point.
Now, I will say it was nice to see the actor for Palpatine back on screen.
Oh, yeah,
It was the
Ian's
first
great.
time you actually felt like there was a villain on screen
Yeah.
who wasn't a screenwriter.
Yeah. So then Rey and Palpatine are having this dialogue where it's doing the same thing from Return of the Jedi that they already repeated in The Last Jedi.
They're literally playing the same music, too.
Same music. It's almost
I think.
like
I don't know.
it's the same idea. It may not be the same dialogue, but it's the same idea. Strike me down, except in this idea, strike me down. I will take my essence will take over you, and then I will be Palpare,
Ray Palpa.
which they also
Empress Palpatine. That's got a better ring in my head.
They also reveal that Rey is a Palpatine.
I mean, they revealed that way earlier,
Yeah,
too, though.
we just
They just really hammered it home.
yeah, like it was so like
Which
just
means Palpatine fucked.
a clone.
And you see his son in the movie, and he's
Yeah.
just a normal guy, and you're like,
He's just some dude.
how in the fuck did that wrinkled old leather bag make a Tom Hardy looking motherfucker?
Yeah, he's just like a dude, which is hilarious to me. Anyway, during this fight, Kylo also shows up, and then he has a blaster, and then he loses the blaster when he gets to the Knights of Ren, which is like they have like rudimentary clubs and swords, and he just loses the gun, the blaster thing.
Yeah.
And then during this fight, before Kylo fights the Knights of Ren, Rey has her lightsaber and goes like,
Yeah, it's like she's pantomiming she's gonna take down Palpatine, then Force teleports it to Rey or
To Kylo.
to Kylo over.
she
her
does like
shoulder.
the coin behind the ear trick.
Yeah, which I was like, okay, that's kind of a cool way to manipulate that for
And
the
then
sake.
Kylo pulls out the
but
lightsaber.
Palpatine said his Force connection was what's keeping them together. I guess. Well, no, I
No,
guess
that
because
was-
they're a didact or whatever.
They're a dyad. A dyad in the Force.
A dyad in your face. Didact. That's Halo.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's also shit, but that's different.
No, we'll get there one day. I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so we get to then Kylo kills all the Knights of Ren. This was their only movie appearance, so we didn't give a shit.
Yeah, no. I mean, they were kind of there throughout the trilogy, but let's be honest, they had as much personality as the Imperial Guard and with less color too.
Yeah, and then they die and they're gone. Kylo meets up with Rey in the throne room with Palpatine. Palpatine shocks them, finds out that, oh, they're dying. I can suck the life out of them, which he does. So like the whole movie is like.
And he gets all like yellowy eyed.
Yeah, he gets all like decrepit at first, and then he sucks the life force from them, which also gives him a snazzy red outfit too.
Oh
at
yeah,
the same point.
yeah, his clothes changed.
Yeah, and then he gets the Sith eyes back, and then
Gucci.
And then he's like, just as I fell, the last Skywalker will fall, and he fucking zaps Kylo down the hole, which in the original script in the leaks was Kylo's death. He was done.
That would have been fine. You just fucking yeet. Bye.
Yeah, gone. Which was really funny.
I'd love to read the original script for this.
Read the leaks. They're hilarious. Anyway.
We should.
So, anyway. Then Rey has one lightsaber, and then Kyle's like, or Emperor Palpatine's like, I'll kill you, blah. And then Rey's like, one lightsaber. And then she gets downed, and then she's looking up at the sky, and this is calling back to when we first see her training, because she's like, oh, all the Jedi aren't I can't reach all the Jedi. And then you have cameos from every single Jedi ever.
I can't remember.
All the ones from the movies, the ones from the Clone Wars.
I was going to say, they got Hayden Christensen and the fucking voice actor from the Clone Wars on there. Like, they both did lines at different parts, which was a really nice nod. Like, I did like that part.
And they also have Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
which means they
Yoda,
called...
Mace Windu.
Yeah, which means they called everybody and brought them back in.
For a voice line.
And brought them in for a voice line. And it was like, that's pretty fucking cool.
And then she gets up, and Palpatine goes, I am all the Sith.
She's like, X gonna give it to you. Bam!
2 lightsabers together, and I am all the Jedi. Which
you could think of a better line, honestly.
Which is just a straight rip-off of Endgame. I don't care what anybody says. That's Infinity Avengers.
Man, if you could put in... that's a top contender.
No, it's the exact same shit, too.
Yeah.
The portal scene in Endgame, when all the people come back.
Fucking hell it is, too.
The ships show up.
Yeah.
In here, we have Thanos, I am inevitable. And then I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi. The dialogue are almost the same.
See, this is a top contender for mine. If you could put one swear in any movie, it would be then. She'd be like, fuck you. Like, hey.
But in Endgame, there was an emotional impact. Like, it was earned. Everything was resonating. It was firing all cylinders.
I wasn't super invested, but I agree completely.
And here, it's just flat nothing.
You're like,
But then you see Palpatine horrifically get melted. Like you see, it's like
that looked good though.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark melting just like.
I bet you it was ILM who did the special effects for it too.
Or it was like Donovan Sullivan in.
That would have been funny if they went back to original claymation, just melting. Like what the fuck?
Oh, that would have been funny.
That would have been funny shit. It would have been stupid, but funny.
The Last Crusade when Donovan Sullivan like rapid ages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's like that. But he's just getting his flesh just ripped, and you see like his skeleton, and like he gets, and then he just gets reduced to
he gone
ash. And it's like, oh, is Palpatine gone? Fuck no, they'll bring him back.
Yeah, probably.
We don't believe that he's gone. Also,
death is impermanent in this universe.
So Rey killing Palpatine would make his essence go into.
Yeah, didn't she kill him?
But Palpatine doing the lightning thing into her lightsabers, bouncing it back off into his own face.
I guess that's a weird technicality. Like, technically he killed himself?
Doing it for the second time.
It's like getting killed by your own grenade. Yeah, you think he'd learn, right?
Yeah, but it's his second time doing that. So then...
I'll mind you, the first time it still worked out for him, though.
And then then after that, Rey collapses dead. Kylo finally climbs himself out of the pit, uses the last of his strength to force heal Rey. They share a kiss, which was actually, I think... was it cut? It was cut out of one of the versions, I think. One of like the foreign versions or something like that. I heard something like that. It was cut out.
Not surprising.
And then the novelization confirmed that, tried to recontextualize it, and it pissed all the Reylos off, which is hilarious when they get mad.
That's a ship? Are you kidding me? That's the weakest ship ever.
Yeah, but anyway, Kylo dies.
Thank you, Tumblr. Right.
Kylo turns into his clothes, that whole shtick.
Oh, yeah, because he's...
And then Rey just leaves.
Yeah, she's like...
She doesn't, bring his clothes or anything. She just takes the lightsaber and she's out.
She's like, well, cool.
And then
It's fucking no
so
longer
then
a
all
problem.
the Star Destroyers are blowing up. Cut to fucking the Forest Moon of Endor with the Star Destroyer going down onto the planet. Reverse shot of them looking is Wicket and a little baby Ewok, which is actually Warwick Davis and his son.
Oh, okay, that's a nice little cameo. Though.
Yeah, that it's really cool.
I mean, near the end. I mean,
that.
the thing is, though, you saw that at the end of Return of the Jedi. You saw that near like the end of Phantom Menace when they're all like celebrating, or not end of Phantom Menace. It's seen a few times where they do like the multi-planet celebratory shot.
Yeah. That
just happens. So it's always like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
But so then we go back to the base. Everybody's celebrating. It's a big, wide pan shot. Suddenly, there is the camera passes in front of a tree or something, indicating a cut. You see one lady kiss another lady. Camera passes through another tree.
Yeah, they really made that like, and again,
and
totally fine with it. But they're just like, hey, look at this thing that we're progressive and doing. It's like,
except they cut it out of every other version of the film.
Well, yeah,
foreign countries.
Yeah,
so it's
we
like,
can't piss off China and not get their money.
And the Middle
we need them
East
for Mulan.
Which is hilariously bombing right now.
Well, that's another.
So yeah, everybody even called them out.
Words for that.
Like everybody called them out for that. It's like, we know what you're doing. Yeah. It was obvious you cut this.
Disney having it both ways.
Yeah.
Disney just tries to have it every single way because they're like, oh, we'll make a version for everybody.
So
like, no.
And then Finn, Rey, and Poe, they all reunite because they're all alive and they hug. And again, it doesn't really feel anything because these characters don't have any connection.
Oh god, except if only they'd have killed off one of them.
Except for Finn and Poe, who actually
have a bromance now. Yeah. Fuck it, make them kiss.
That would have been like,
that would have been it. That'd be like, oh shit.
Oscar and John were actually all for that. That would have been awesome.
They'd have done it. So that would have been fucking hilarious. Like,
after this celebration, they go back to Tatooine, back to the the Lars farmstead,
which has looked better.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Nobody's been working there in
40 years. Rey has both the lightsabers, Leia's and Luke's. We didn't even talk about the Luke scene because it's totally inconsequential to the film.
Poor Mark Hamill. Like, so contractual obligations.
Just think about that. We didn't talk about a scene with Luke Skywalker in it because it was just
in a
nothing.
Star Wars movie. Although I will say it was nice. All right, let's cover it now before we.
Yeah, he basically just gives Rey a pep talk saying, "Hey,"
and then he does lift his X-wing.
No, she throws the lightsaber into the fire, and then he catches it and says, "A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect." Like,
you dumb bitch.
Well, it's a TLJ shot.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then Rey's like, "Well, I can't do this. I'm going to do what you did." And then Luke is like, "I was wrong."
Yeah, I fucked up, honey.
Wink.
Yeah.
Like it's all just TLJ reparations, but it's too.
It
too
was
little,
nice
too
to
late.
see him finally lift his.
Yeah,
X-wing.
even how it plays the music. And stuff.
Was a nice little bit of like, okay, well now because he's admitted that he's gotten
is just
strong.
Repurposing crap.
Yeah,
it's
but it was the last time they had John Williams.
Yeah,
so
but again, the film feels really overscored because it's hacking these important musical beats from the other movies into this where it doesn't fit and it doesn't.
Yeah, it wasn't organically made for the scene. It was made and just copy pasted.
So
it's like if you just did Duel of the Fates when Rey and Kylo were fighting, which would have been I'd have walked out.
Yeah, that would
I'd have walked the fuck out. That was again about that scene. It was nice because there wasn't any music.
Yeah,
and it felt good. I was like, okay, yeah, they don't.
It was the one part they didn't overscore. It was the one time the music shut the fuck up.
I wonder if it's because they had music for it and they're like, we don't know, and they just released it
because it just wouldn't work with the rest of their shoehorning in of John Williams.
Yeah, like
anyway,
the Luke scene aside.
The Luke scene was just inconsequential, which
as much as I like seeing Mark Hamill on screen, it was kind of nice.
And his Force Ghost looked like shit. It was just washed out blue ugliness.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rey takes both lightsabers, buries them in the sand.
About 3 feet in the sand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, some Jawas over there going like, I'm taking those. I'm
gonna get over here with a shovel. Just like there with a shovel.
Yeah.
And then this random lady walks up and is like, "Who are you? Nobody's been here for years. I'm Rey. Rey who? Rey." And then she looks off into the distance, and then there's the fucking Force ghosts of Luke and Leia, as if she has any connection to those characters at all. And it's like, Rey Skywalker.
Lady's like, bullshit.
And the one thing I will give Rey is like, she turned her staff into a lightsaber.
Yeah.
But she has the dumbest switch. It's like a little clicker.
Clap on.
Well, it's like a literal like click thing that like a dial that you spin.
I wish was it double bladed? No, because that would make perfect sense for her way of fighting. And then it's out of nowhere, it's fucking yellow. Let's not explain that at all.
I'm fine with it being yellow. Like
what is that? I don't even know
the
how.
yellow lightsabers were typically for like the Jedi temple guards and stuff like that.
Okay, but how did you just find a kyber crystal that was yellow, or like they didn't?
Who fucking cares? that's literally the explanation.
Yeah, fair enough. There was time in between when she was on there celebrating, went to Tatooine, and then she found one in the meantime.
And then Rey walks off into the sunset, implying that she's Rey.
Unfortunately, she didn't stay walking. Fortunately, she didn't get hit by a sandcrawler.
Or a
Tusken popped up with a fucking rifle.
It just comes running at her and just clubs her in the face.
It just catches a fucking gaff stick on the side of the dome.
Or just like football tackle down and just one shot.
Get RKO'd by a fucking
Tusken.
I mean, if anyone's gonna whip out an RKO, it's gonna be a Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
and then she slides into like their little thing with it, like it's like I can see why you did that, but come on, you're
nice callback, but come on,
you're padding it at this point.
Anyway, movie ends. That's the end of that. Disney's sequel trilogy is over
for now.
So
they decided they want to make more money. To make back money from Mulan, but we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in another video. I need to watch that. I don't.
It's $30 on Disney Plus on top of the streaming service.
So. More than I want to spend.
Yeah, we're not. Which is nothing. Anyway, so before we get into our final verdicts,
I'll pirate it.
Out of 10,
allegedly.
Best part of the film for you.
Joke. Best part of the film. I mean. Babu Freak was pretty on top.
It's hard to top Babu.
Which is really sad.
We'll exclude Babu Freak.
Excluding Babu Freak. I mean, definitely, honestly, probably the whole Palpatine lightning knocking out the ships. That was fucking sick.
It did look pretty cool.
And I was like, it was one of the few moments
purely
I'm like,
from a visual.
oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, that was the one.
It's a damn shame he wasn't in all the other movies.
Yeah. It was the one time where I'm like, okay, now I'm watching fucking Star Wars.
My best part of the film would be all of Poe's little dialogue lines.
He was a snippety bitch in this one, and I like it.
He's definitely cheating one. That one I liked. Yeah. The stuff with the Rocketeer at the end, like you were a stormtrooper. We can do this all day. Like we can
do this all day.
Those were good. That was my favorite part of the movie. Was just Poe being, which I gotta feel was just a little bit of Oscar Isaac.
I was gonna say, I think it's just Oscar Isaac. He showed up on set that day. It's like, I'm gonna give you some delivery today. Just a little bit of
salt. Now, worst part of the movie.
You go.
Worst part of the movie.
I gotta formulate my thoughts here.
Worst part of the movie would be everything surrounding the dagger. All the scenes, everything, like just like.
You know what's bad when you have two MacGuffins and one makes the other already weak MacGuffin look like fuck. Yeah.
So, like, the dagger, to me, is the worst part of this entire film. Like, everything about it is just broken, stupid, and, like, it's just awful. And almost entirely useless. They could have just found another wayfinder. And using, like being told through the Force where to find it. Like, it would have been a lot simpler. Would have tied into the whole Force thing with like Finn and Rey doing it. Like that would have been fine.
Yep.
So, your worst part.
So, I'm going to pretext this so it has a little bit of context. This movie had a lot of what I'm thinking of calling unnecessary layering. You have to do this to get here, to do this to get here, here to do this point, and
all balanced out by convenience.
There was a significant fear of not having a space battle in space in this movie. They really didn't show that. All there were in atmosphere and this super visual. They didn't just fight in space.
Yeah.
There was no space combat in a Star Wars movie. That's part of the unnecessary layering. And so much of that like factors into the dialogue and the plot, and then just trying to retcon that. And it's very obvious, and it throws you away from the movie and basically makes the first half of it completely redundant. And even then the second doesn't, it suffers from that. But the worst part if we're really dialing it to like a scene or a part of a scene, I would have to say and I like what the actor did there. I like what Palpatine had going on. But the confrontation between Rey, Palpatine, and Kylo was weak as piss.
Yeah, like
it was we were given and they did work in their choreography, and it was shot very well, and it looked nice. It just, you knew they were gonna win.
Yeah, nothing resonated with me at all.
It was plot armor out the get-go because you had seen it in every heroic character to this point. And it felt like the entire previous half an hour was just go, 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 go to get to this point, and then that point under-delivered. So you're like, why the fuck did I watch the last 40 minutes? And then why the fuck did I watch the first half of the movie? Why the fuck did I watch the goddamn movie?
Yeah.
Because we were told basically it all in the first opening title crawl, and we knew where they were going to go the moment we read that, so we didn't need to watch the movie to get the story.
Yeah,
and that is literally the point of watching a fucking movie.
This entire film is broken from
it's what I would...
the moment the Star Wars logo fades into the back and the opening crawl.
I would just call it pointless.
Yeah.
Like, and it was better than the previous one, arguably. It had some cool moments. It was tied together. They did what they could. And again, reshoots. But if you're struggling to get a movie out by a deadline, and you're going, oh, we got to reshoot half of it, and you have to do all this, maybe just have a press conference to go, listen, we get it. We said we did all of our promo stuff. We sunk a ton of money to saying it is being released on this day. However, due to some issues, we don't feel confident enough, and it's Disney. They will never say this. No. Disney, from my analysis of them as a company, they will throw out whatever they are and just be like, yeah, no, okay. Like, it is purely money generation from what I am able to make out. I'm couching myself very carefully here, because Disney owns everything. But all they would have had to do, and of course there's no easy one answer, but this is what I would have at least pushed them to be, listen, we know we were going to do this, this, and this. We sunk a ton of money, believe me. However, the last two movies have been a little bit divisive, and we want to do this right. And we can make a good movie. We have the MCU for that. Yeah. Which is the perfect contrast to how not to do and even a property that isn't necessarily super strong, they're able to take and turn over and make some gold out of. Yeah. I would have turned Star Wars over to Marvel Studios. But I would have just said, like,
give it over to Kevin. Yeah,
listen. We want to do this right. This is our third shot at it. The last one did not go over well, and the first one was pretty
was midline.
People panned it. We want to do this one right. We're going to take more time to make it, to revamp it. I mean, obviously, if they would have put enough... It comes down to if they would have put enough work into the trilogy at the get-go, we would have been spared all of this. But they just got the franchise, they got the copyright, and they said, all right, make a Star Wars movie. We want to make money. We want to put our foot in the door. And then they kicked the fucking door down.
Well, yeah, with all the merchandise and stuff.
And now they're trying to just put duct tape across the front of it.
So... That said, very well said. Final verdict for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
I'm trying to remember what I gave the other two.
I
know the second one was not kind.
I gave TFA fairly high. I gave TLJ a 4, which is, I think I'm also going to hover around a 4. Now, that said, originally, when I first saw this movie in theaters... My original review, where it was just me, I gave it a 6 because I was a little bit more forgiving to the last half.
And I think now that we're kind of thinking about it a little bit more analytically, and really looking at it as... I got to chew on it
for a while.
Yeah, well, and we're looking at it as just a tangible, like, it's not just, we're not overblown by the spectacle. It's Star Wars. We're looking at, all right, well, what makes this movie... Yeah, a movie. What makes us watchable? So, we're taking away our biases because we have a huge love for Star Wars, obviously.
Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be doing this right now.
Exactly. So, we're taking our biases away from that and looking at it as a movie, as a foreshadowing and in all your various plot effects and how it just doesn't come together.
So, I'm going to nestle in at a 4. It's just as broken as TLJ. Like, there's just too much plot, too much convenience, too much plot armor. Whereas TLJ had issues of storytelling, mostly. This one has issues with storytelling, pacing, direction.
It just didn't have direction.
Acting, like everything is an issue here.
Yeah.
Fundamentally flawed.
But unlike...
Whereas...
I'll say that for my NLC thing.
Whereas TLJ definitely had that direction, that acting. It knew the story it wanted to tell. The story wasn't very good, but it knew what it wanted to do, and it did it.
I would say...
is commendable comparing it to
That's the one thing that movie had, though. That was the one thing that movie had, was at least a direction.
Vision and a direction.
It was a bad one, but it was a direction.
Over to you.
So, I'm trying to remember what I gave The Last Jedi, because I was not kind to it.
I think you were lower than me.
I think I gave like a 3.
I think you were lower than
something real balls and barring.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I can admire them for trying to salvage and doing what they did. I can admire them for trying to spend...
It's commendable.
The first half of the movie retconning, but like you said, Last Jedi had at least a cognizant vision, really nothing beyond that, and it felt like this felt like it could have worked. This felt like with enough rearranging and building, and maybe the original script could have worked, but I think there was a bit of studio interference.
Oh, there was.
And it wasn't...
JJ wasn't even pegged to do this. It was Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, we were looking at a box of Star Wars parts, and they tried to just slapdash it together and kit bash a movie out of it. And you can see the edges where one kit ends and the other begins. And it is so jarring that it takes you out of the movie. There are little bits of good... every Star Wars movie seems to have... even the really, really shit ones have... awesome moments surrounded by paper.
As long as you devoid it from the
and the fact that you have to is redonkulous.
Yes, but
that's not just a critique for this particular movie. It is for several Star Wars movies in general. So pinning it just on that would be unfair. Honestly, it was just the best I can. The Last Jedi I actively disliked and still do. This movie is just like a. All right. Like, I was kind of hoping they could pull it out. Maybe you got to cheer for the underdog. But I wasn't expecting anything. And what we got was like, okay, it's Star Wars. Yeah, I can watch. And like, I've put it on for noise while cleaning before. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I can listen to it. I can be like, oh, okay, yeah, whichever. But I'm not going to adequately pay attention to it because I feel like I don't have to. Yeah. I wouldn't put on The Last Jedi while cleaning and be like, oh, Jesus Christ, there could be something else I can listen to, please.
Yeah, exactly.
So... it's a mess that is kind of serviceable, if only for the fact that they put it together, send it out.
Surface level, yeah.
Incredibly surface level. I would give it a 5 and barely that.
So skirt to the average.
You know, around 4 point. Like I want to give it a 4.5.
But we don't do halves here.
Yeah, we don't do halves, and there are those little moments that just push it to that 50%. It gets a passing grade, but only that. That, by the way, is the passing grade watermark.
Yeah. So originally mine was a 6. I'm down to a 3 now that I thought about it.
So you got harsher on it, and I've almost softened a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I mean, that's critical analysis for you.
And so you're at a 5, I'm at a 4. Now, to end this off, I always
saga of its own.
I always the last.
Hey, we had a direction.
Disney Star Wars, of Disney Stars. Anyway,
for now,
I usually try and end my video reviews off with recommending it to people who like certain things. This again, I think I just can't recommend it to it.
Here's the thing.
The only reason I would recommend it to people is, oh, you gotta see how they ended Star Wars, and not in the good way.
Not in a nice way, yeah.
The only reason I would recommend this to a person is if you were invested in Star Wars already, and
the thing is,
you need to see how it
is. Someone like that, they're already gonna see it, and that's the way I've kind of thought with this movie.
I'm recommending it to nobody, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I've seen anybody who wanted to see this movie saw it when it came out.
Yeah.
Saw it since then. Nobody's been talking. It's really just been shelved and forgotten at this point because Disney struck lightning in the bottle with The Mandalorian and Clone Wars, but they already knew they had Clone Wars. I think that was their save the backup plan.
And then even then, Clone Wars series finale was pretty rough for me.
I really liked it. Maybe that's a series we're going to have to look
That
at,
is
but we're going to have to look at the whole fucking series.
That is something we'll have to talk about. I definitely agree.
And I need to actually watch all of it.
Yeah,
I've watched a good portion of it, but I haven't watched all of them. It's a lot.
Too. Anyway.
But like, yeah, like I wouldn't necessarily, same thing, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because anybody who's seen it has already seen it. I feel like we've just moved past it. Like, normally,
it's done. It's gone. Nobody's talking about Game of Thrones anymore either.
Yeah, and the thing is, if something has a great finisher, people will talk about it for years and years, and it'll be still in the popular lexicon. This just it went out with a whimper and got shot in the back of the head. And same thing with Game of Thrones. And
Season 8,
something similar happened with Doctor Who. But that's a whole
Doctor Who's on its last legs.
Story.
Star Trek's on its
last
last
legs. It's been on
legs.
its last legs for a very long time.
Terminator's on its last legs. Predator's dead.
Like we're watching a lot of franchises.
Aliens is probably going to die with this next one.
That said, it means we're going to watch a new ones.
Yeah, how does it feel?
Watch some new ones get born.
How does it feel to see all your favorite franchises just blow up in spectacular fashion?
I guess this is a perfect place to put this kind of thought because we're at the end of we've now finally covered, I think, all of the core Star Wars movies now.
All the core Disney Star Wars movies.
Disney's. We haven't. Did we do one of the prequels yet?
We have not.
Okay.
I wanted to do.
That's gonna be a long one, man. Because I got some. That was when I was growing up.
I feel like you
that's
and I
my area of
expertise.
Yeah.
You and I might line up, but we might have some differing opinions.
I think so.
There. I think,
but
one of us might be a bit more harsh.
Yeah,
on
probably.
It in certain areas.
I can be. The thing with that is ultimately we live in a weird time where I don't think too much in human history has gone beyond the point where pop culture is really something that has come across in the last 130, 140 years. Really, the late 1880s was when a lot of stories became popular. You got your Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's, your Bram Stoker's, a lot of stuff like that kind of came out. There was Mary Shelley with Frankenstein, and so that's where a lot of stuff started. And then the classical Universal monsters really became.
The monster
that's
movies.
Where the movie pop culture began, at least in my brain. But this is one of the few times where we've looked in the last 40 years and have really just kept rolling over a lot of those same franchises. Like you look at a lot of
all of them
how many franchises and things in the 50s and 40s were recycled in the 70s.
Oh,
fucking
so much.
next to none of them.
It's in this.
The 70s and 80s is when we started recovering. So I think this is just a natural product of a half-life of franchises dying off because we've done all what we can with the box office stuff. Now we're seeing a shift in media towards streaming services, and with everybody being at home and stuff like that, I think it is a case that our situation that this was happening before coronavirus. That has so fundamentally shifted what we do.
Of being at home.
Yeah, and I think that was going to happen regardless. And streaming services, you're not counting on this box office opening weekend. You're not counting on something so fickle. You know that we're already getting paid subscription, so they're going to watch it and they're going to like it. Yeah. And then they do, and then they can tell a longer form, and there's less stakes on the board. And I think that is what's going to lead to different franchises kind of coming up, either reworks of old ones successfully, like Mandalorian, or we're going to see new properties coming up. Because in the last 10 years, if you look at films that came out in the 2000s versus 2010s, miles different.
Yes.
The 2000s had some shit franchises and had some shit individual movies that didn't really launch. The 2010s, people started trying.
Yeah.
And I think
but that's all due to the success of the MCU. It's not it's not creativity driven. It's driven by money.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
And that's the thing. In the last 3 years, all those franchises have started really hitting the wall because people are they're being driven by money and only that, so they hit those walls and then they fall off, like Game of Thrones and shit.
They just don't have the right. The writers just aren't talented there.
Well, and then so because of that, it just creates this even. So when someone's like, "Oh, they're just making this because they want to make money," like, hold on.
Well,
it gets shot the fuck down. Yeah. So the thing is, what I'm saying is, people are wise to that.
Yeah.
And now I think it opens up a chance. Yeah, now more than ever, it opens up a chance for something actually new, something new, someone to try something. Yeah. Throw it to the wall, see if it sticks.
Yeah.
And then you'll watch the next 10 to 20 years of movie history come from that very moment. The question is, we haven't seen that yet. Yeah, what will it be?
We're waiting.
We don't know yet. Moment. I guarantee you, it will not be a franchise that is already in the cultural lexicon, like Star Wars, like Aliens, like anything that It's going to be something new.
It'll be something new or something completely unexpected.
Or it'll be an adaptation of an already existing property that somebody turns into a streaming or cinematic service.
The new Dune movie looks great.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
That's an idea.
That one it plays against form, which also makes me think it could work.
Yes,
but
which we'll do a review of because I think we're both pretty fair enough big Dune fans.
I could see there being a huge return to 2D animation, and using that
especially on streaming services.
Yeah, both as a medium and as a
the claws on Netflix is just fantastic.
And like some of the highest held even franchise or individual movies of the last how long have been 2D animation. And 3D's fine, but that's a whole another subset. I just think that the age of the money-driven franchise will make a blockbuster, make one every year, sell it, rubes, they'll enjoy it. I think we've reached the end of that. It's not coming to an end. It's over, man. Yeah. It's fucking over.
I think it ended with Endgame because everyone was...
That was its high peak at the very least. I think people tried, like with Star Wars and stuff after, and that's when it kind of faltered. Well, that was definitely a high watermark.
Anyway, I think, so this has been our look at Disney Star Wars. We made it.
I wasn't as harsh as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, we made it through.
I'm softening my old age.
Thanks for doing this with me. It's great. Always great having you on.
It's fun to shoot shit and talk about movies. At the end of the day, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's something
and I get to play to a camera a little bit.
It was something I wish I could do all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thanks, Zach, for joining me on this journey, and thanks to you guys, the viewers, for watching and putting up with us.
We've been on this journey.
Long production time.
We've been on this journey long enough that I've gotten I can go back through videos and date them based on which tattoos I have.
Yeah,
that's how long I've been doing this.
And the hair, my hair.
Yeah. I guess probably just the slow. Mine's always been long for me, but the slow.
Yeah, but my hair.
Yeah, true.
Basically, because now it's all tied up.
I was gonna say he's got to tie back. You can't see it from this angle. He's got to tie back.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm waffling.
It's getting a little... Well, so thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.